Why was Covered California sending consumer enrollment information to a social media site? Hello, I am Kevin Knaus, an independent health insurance agent in California, and also a certified Covered California agent, and I enroll people into Covered California subsidized health plans. And Cal Matters reported as of April 28th, 2025, that through their investigative reporting, Covered California had trackers on their website, and these little bits of code were grabbing information from enrollment applications and sending some of that data to LinkedIn. And some of the data of what Covered California said was that, the first name, the last four digits, the social security number, ethnicity, pregnancy status, and things of that nature, which is very, very shocking. This shouldn't be sent out to anyone. I don't believe that LinkedIn asked for this information, and I don't think there was any nefarious purposes within Covered California to divulge this information, but definitely it was a misstep on the IT department that they not catch this code that was grabbing these fields and sending the information to LinkedIn. So the question now for some people is, how did this all happen? So Cal Matters, they refer to the little bits of code on the Covered California website as trackers. And, there are cookies that we're familiar with, and there's tags. And any website, especially one of a large nature like Covered California, is going to have tags and other bits of code on there to grab information about how the visitors are interacting with their website. And a lot of this has to do with marketing purposes. So, for instance, I have Google Analytics on my website, and then I can kind of see data like who were the referrers. Was it an organic search, or did it come from someplace else, a YouTube channel? I can see the number of users and whether they are new or returning. And I can see the pages that people are most visiting. Now, the way this Google Analytics is set up, it doesn't grab any personal information and it doesn't share it with anyone. But those tags, those cookies, by third-party individuals, organizations can share data, and that has always been the big concern when using your mobile phone or visiting an internet site, that your information is being grabbed, they're profiling you. Now, it may not be you, your specific name, but it is your IP address. So sometimes I will open up in my iPad and look at something, and I'm getting ads for riverboat cruises in Europe. Well, I know my spouse has probably been looking at riverboat cruises in Europe, and that has to do with advertising. And you have probably come to some websites where there was a disclaimer and that they wanted you to accept cookies on your website to help improve the user experience. And that can be nice in terms of if you're always going back to a website, it kind of pre-populates some information for you. Now, in Europe, a lot of this information gathering has much tighter controls. The GDPR, you have to alert people and have people opt in to gathering this information and allowing people to decline. So that's why some websites, especially if they may be viewed in Europe, are going to have these disclaimers, but we don't have those type of controls in the United States. We don't always have to notify people of what's going on. But over in the European Union, this sort of situation that Covered California finds itself in, transmitting personal data to a third party that is unauthorized to receive it, would probably result in a fine. Now, when people go into Covered California and apply, when I help them enroll, one of the first pop-up windows is the verification of information, and it explicitly states we only use your information for health care purposes. Okay, so that's developing some trust that this information isn't going to be shared. At the end of the application, there are terms and conditions that the applicant must agree to. And right there, and I read it to people, I understand that all information disclosed in this application will be kept private and secure as required by law. Well, I don't know how secure it is with this data leak, data breach. I'm not sure what you want to call it. Now, as a certified insurance agent, I have to go through training every year, and part of that focuses on privacy and security. And in Covered California, the violations of Covered California privacy and security standards. Those who fail to abide by any such standards or policies may be subject to contract termination. In other words, if this had happened on my website, and that information was sent to a third party, an unauthorized third party, I probably would have my contract terminated. And the other health plans also have, similar requirements that I have to really lock down and secure any information from the consumer, and I won't share it. And then that kind of gets me thinking as an agent. I did enrollments. The Cal Matters report said it looks like this tracker was sharing information for a good year from 2024 through the beginning, early 2025. And I did enrollments. In 2024, and I'm thinking, was the information that I gathered and put into that application while I'm talking to the client, was that being shared? Am I liable? Am I going to be part of some lawsuit? I'm not really sure. We do need to keep this in perspective. Trump and Elon Musk have hacked into federal databases with just gobs of personally identifying information, and we do not know who has that, how it has been released, who it has been transmitted to, and who has access to it. So that's a far larger breach than Covered California, to be sure. But I thought when I read the statement from Covered California that they were turning off all the trackers and they were evaluating everything, okay, that's nice. But they kind of knew this was going on because Cal Matters had contacted them earlier. And I would have liked to have seen a stronger statement. And certainly they could have got their people onto it and provided more information, such as how many consumers had their data compromised. I'm sure they can figure that out. What was the actual time frame of when this tracker was grabbing information and sending it to LinkedIn? Which websites or apps had the leaky trackers? Because there's the shop and compare tool, and then there's the enrollment application through the CalHears. And I don't know if there's some other things going on in Covered California. So was it just one particular application or website that had this, or did it only happen in a particular geographic area? I want more specifics. And will those people who had their data leak be notified by Covered California? Because in a data breach, you are supposed to notify those people whose personally identifying information may have been exposed. And I've probably received half a dozen different notices from the health plans that there was some sort of hack or inadvertent opening, and my information may have been exposed to who knows who. And then they provide me with a year of free credit monitoring or something like that. Will Covered California be doing the same for these individuals? I would like to know. Covered California needs to make this right. The trust that we have placed in Covered California to keep this personally identifying information secure and private has been breached, has a big dent in it right now. So Covered California needs to come out and let us know What happened? How it happened? Who was affected? How are they resolving it? So, well, if you have any questions or comments, you may leave those down below. I don't have a ton of information, obviously, but I will do my best to answer those questions and comments. Otherwise, for InsureMeKevin.com, I'm Kevin Knaus.